Hi everybody, welcome to Yammer 101, Getting Started. My name is Devin Watts and I'm a member of our education team here at Yammer. And this webinar is part of our team's ongoing series of Yammer 101 educational webinars. The series is designed to give new users a better understanding of all the various uses and benefits of the Yammer platform. So today I'm just going to get you started by giving a brief overview of the basic features and functionalities of Yammer. So I hope that by the end of today's session, you'll feel comfortable navigating your company's Yammer network to find and share the information that's important to you at work. That is, after all, what Yammer is all about. So again, welcome. Thanks for being here, and let's just get right into it. Came here to learn about how to use the product, so let's get into the product overview. I'm going to warn you right now that I will go through these next slides pretty quickly. There's mostly screenshots talking about the features, and since we are going to spend some time in the actual live product demo, I think I can scooch through these pretty quickly. But if you do want a copy of this presentation after the session is over, you can absolutely request that just by emailing me, education@yammer-inc.com. I'll bring up that email address again on the screen at the end of the session, so if you missed it, don't worry. So the product basically, consists of several different things, one of which is your profile. So this is where you share your background and expertise and get to know colleagues by reading their profiles. So sort of providing some context for people about, the things that you're posting in your Yammer network. The feeds are really sort of the core of the product. So this is where you post messages, follow threads, ask questions, and, contribute to your company's growing knowledge base in Yammer. The questions publisher allows you to obviously ask a question and get answers to it. You can tag those questions with topics, and you're always able to revisit them for ongoing learning. So you can search questions and find that this question that you had in mind had already been asked, and it really helps with deduplication of work. Polls allow you to just quickly gather opinions and feedback from your colleagues. We have an events publisher, so create an event for a certain team or for the company at large. People can RSVP to the event right from within Yammer, and they can also add it to their calendars. And then groups. So groups are sort of subsections within your company's Yammer network. So you can create public or private groups. And of course, by public, I just mean open to everybody in your Yammer network, which is in fact private just to people in your company. You can also create private groups within that network. So you're seeing here the marketing group, which is a public group, but you could also create a marketing team group that's private just to the people who actually work on your marketing team. And that way you can collaborate amongst yourselves on strategy or documents before you're ready to share them out with the rest of the company. And then you can write private messages as well. So if you want to just have a private conversation with one or more colleagues and have the ability to loop people in later on to get them caught up on the thread, you can do that with private messages, and you don't have to actually post the information out to the Yammer network. And then search. So of course, if we're talking about Yammer, potentially being a knowledge repository in your organization, search functionality is going to be really critical to that, right? So we have an incredible team of search developers here, engineers who just sort of eat, sleep, and breathe search and are just constantly working to make the search function, improve the search functionality and make sure that when you search for a keyword or phrase, you're really getting the best and most relevant results for that search. So you'll see that when you search for a keyword or phrase, the results will pull up not only messages that contain that keyword or phrase, but also members who have that keyword or phrase listed somewhere in their profile. So it's a great way to identify subject matter experts. It'll pull up groups that have that word or phrase in the group title or the group description. It'll pull up topics with that word or phrase, and then the More tab there is usually different types of updates, so questions or polls that contain that word or phrase. And then Yammer is accessible anywhere. So through the web, yammer.com/yourcompaniesdomain.com, and that's the version that I will be demoing on in just a second here. We also have a desktop app, so if you prefer to, read your feeds and contribute posts outside of your web browser, you can download the desktop app. We have a SharePoint integration, so you can have Yammer feeds sort of embedded into your My Site or Team sites in SharePoint through a SharePoint web part. And there's some really cool functionality there as well that you can learn more about if you'd like in one of our other Yammer 101 webinars. We have a Yammer 101 Yammer for SharePoint webinar. So if your company uses SharePoint, I suggest that you, again, shoot me an email after this session and ask for an invite to that webinar, because it's really a great one that displays the full functionality of that integration. We have a Twitter integration that I'll talk a little bit more about in just a second here. And then, of course, mobile applications for iPhone, BlackBerry, Android, and I believe Windows Phone 6. And then we have SMS functionality too, so you can actually get updates from Yammer via text message. And we just recently, well, not so recently, I guess a couple months ago, released an iPad app. So we're very excited about that as well. All right, so time to jump over into the live product demo. I'm going to pull up a Yammer network here. This is a Yammer network for a fictional company called Four Leaf Consulting that we use to demonstrate the product. So let's sort of try to go through the features in a little bit of the same order that I did those slides in. So we'll start with your profile. I think many of you on the line today just recently signed up for Yammer, so you may not have completed your profile yet. And your Yammer profile is pretty important because it's really the way that you're represented on your company's Yammer network. So when somebody searches for your name, for instance, and you turn up as a result, they're going to get to your profile page. And I'll show you mine here so you can see what it looks like. I'll just click on Devin where it says Welcome Devin in the upper left-hand corner there. And this pulls up my profile, which shows not only, my recent activity and posts on Yammer, but it also pulls up a little bit more information about me in the right-hand column here. So again, providing context to people about the things that I'm posting and letting people know what I'm an expert in and what my background is. So to edit your profile, you can obviously go to your profile page like I just did and click this big button, Edit Profile. Or you could go straight from the home page where it says Welcome Devin. It'll say Edit under your name there, and you can click there. And this will bring you to a page where you can add all that information. The little bio that I had showing there. Just a few sentences about sort of who you are and where you come from. Job title, that should already be in there. It was part of the sign-up process for you, but obviously people's job titles change not infrequently, so you can always come back here to the profile page to edit your job title. Put in your department and your location. I think it helps other people in your Yammer network, to understand where you physically sit and sort of which organization you're a part of or who you're reporting into. The next few fields are really, all these fields are optional, I should say, but the next few ones I think really depends on your company's culture, whether you would want to share your significant other, kids' names, birthday, etc. With the premium version of Yammer, actually, the network administrator, whoever you decide to be your Yammer network administrator, can actually choose to hide those fields from people's profiles. So if that's really not part of your culture, that's one benefit of premium, is that the network admin can actually hide those profile fields. Expertise is certainly a very important field to fill out. As I mentioned, members come up in search results. So if somebody were to search for product education or communications, they would actually find, my profile as a result there, and they'd be able to, they'd figure out that I'm an expert in those things and that they could come and ask me questions about those things, or if they're, starting a project having to do with one of those areas that, they might want to loop me in on it. Moving down here, contact information, obviously phone numbers, IM, you can put in your IM handle on whatever IM client you might use at work, and so people can chat with you. You can put in your Twitter username, and you can do this for a couple of reasons. You can do it just to let people know what your Twitter handle is so that they can go on Twitter and start following you. Or you can do it to actually start using the integration. So if you put in your Twitter username there, what that means is that when you're on Twitter, if you use Twitter and you post things to Twitter about industry news or about your profession, basically, instead of having to post that to Twitter and then copy and paste it and also post it into Yammer, what you can do if you have your Twitter username in here in your profile is you can just add the hashtag YAM. So hash or # YAM to your tweet, and that will actually send it into Yammer as well as a message in Yammer. So it is a one-way integration, meaning that you cannot send yams, as it were, out to Twitter. And that's just a security and privacy concern. Of course, because Yammer is a private network just for your company, we know that people use their Yammer networks to probably, potentially discuss proprietary or sensitive information. And we just didn't want to build in something that would create the risk of somebody posting something, thinking it was just going into their Yammer network and accidentally sending it out to Twitter, which of course is very public and indexed by Google and all that stuff. So you can also add in your Skype name, Facebook, LinkedIn, any other websites you have. And then at the bottom here, sort of CV type information. So where you used to work, what you did there, how long you were there, and then, what schools you went to and degrees you have and all that stuff. So be sure to save your information there, and you'll get a little notification that your account has been updated. I want to spend one more second on this page, because if we go back up to basics here, this is where your name, email address, and profile photo live. So, you should have input all this information as part of the sign up flow, but if you didn't get a chance to upload a profile photo, if you decided against it, or you didn't have an appropriate one handy when you were signing up, I cannot recommend enough that you upload a profile photo of your real self. A somewhat professional looking photo of your face would probably be ideal. When we talk about Yammer humanizing these processes in the workplace, I think having profile photos is a really critical part of that. And I can't tell you the number of times, even just here at Yammer, which is a relatively small company, that somebody's sort of found me in the cafeteria or in the hallway and said, "Oh, hey, I loved that article that you posted about our competitor," or something like that. And the reason that we're able to have those offline real life conversations is because of Yammer, and because I have a profile photo there, so that person was able to recognize me. So now that you've got your profile set up, you've invited some colleagues, your feed might still look a little bit empty. And basically the My feed here is a perspective-based feed. What that means is it's a personalized feed. So it's going to look different for everybody who signs into your Yammer network. What I'm seeing here in my feed is based on people that I'm following, topics that I'm following, and groups that I'm a member of. So what you need to do in order to sort of make sure that you're getting all the important and relevant information for you into your My feed is you need to start following people, topics, and joining groups as well. So a great place to start is by going to the company feed. So the company feed, unlike the My feed, is actually going to it's going to look the same for everybody who logs into your company's Yammer network, and it's going to show all the messages that have been posted, all the public messages, I should say, that have been posted to your company's Yammer network. So anything except for those things that have been posted into a private group, which of course, are only visible by members of that group. All the rest of the content here, anything that people post out to all of their followers, anything posted into a public group, is going to be shown right here in the company feed. So as you scroll through your company feed, I think it'll be pretty clear, to you, who you should follow, what topics you might want to follow that will be interesting to you, and what kind of groups you might want to join. So I'm seeing here that this guy Ron is posting some interesting stuff. If I decide I want to follow Ron, I can either just click that follow button right underneath his profile picture there, or I can actually click on Ron's name. Maybe I want to find out a little bit more about him. I get into his profile page here. I see that he's an implementation engineer. I see that he's into enterprise social networking. And I decide, great, I'm going to follow Ron. So I can follow him from his profile page here as well. Just click that follow button. I'll get a little notification. And you can always unfollow people by going to their profile pages as well. So, sometimes if people, switch functions or departments or something within the company, obviously you're going to stay in your company's Yammer network, but you might want to tweak your following model a little bit to follow more of the people in your new department and maybe unfollow some of the folks in your old department. So unfollow is definitely an option when needed. So if I go back to the company feed, what this means, by the way, when I'm following Ron, is that all of the messages that Ron posts out to his followers are going to be delivered into my feed. So back on the company feed, I also see a message from Ron here. He's posted it into the marketing group. It's tagged with this topic, corporate prezo. So I'll click on that topic, and that takes me to the topic page. And what I see here is all the messages that have been posted into my company's Yammer network that have been tagged with this particular topic. So if I want to follow this topic, say it's, product education or something, and that's really my field, that's my job, I would certainly want to follow that topic to make sure that any message that's tagged with that topic also gets delivered to my feed. Now, that does mean that even if an individual person who posts it is not someone I'm following, the message will still be delivered to my feed because I'm following the topic. Again, all of this is excluding private messages that are posted into private groups that I'm not a member of. So I'll click and follow this topic, and then I'll get all the messages tagged with corporate prezo delivered to my feed. Let's talk about groups for a second. So I mentioned that Ron posted this message into the marketing group. You can see when a message is posted into a group because of this small arrow, next to his name with the group name following it. It's also indicated by this small image that is residing in the lower right-hand corner of his profile picture. That indicates that, this person posted it into this group. So that's actually the marketing group sort of logo or image. So I'll go ahead and click into the marketing group here. And this is a group that I'm already a member of. I can tell that because this button over on the right-hand side says leave. If I was not yet a member, it would say join. I can go ahead and leave the group now. It'll ask me if I'm sure. I say okay. And then I can click join again. By joining a group, you're ensuring that all the messages posted into that group will be delivered to your My Feed. And groups basically, allow you to sort of have conversations around a certain topic and just share information with a certain subset of people in your Yammer network instead of sharing it out with everyone who follows you. So I should mention also that all of these things, I think going through your company feed is really important. I think it provides a lot of interesting insight into how Yammer is being used at your company so far, and I think you can discover a lot of really interesting things by scrolling through the company feed. But you can also find things in Yammer by using search, of course. So any of these things, you can find people. Let's say, I sit next to a girl named Julie. I'm looking to see if Julie's on Yammer yet. I can just start typing in Julie. I actually get some options populated down here already, or I could click See All. And this is going to bring up messages that contain the word Julie, and also members who have the word Julie in their name or somewhere on their profile. So then I can find Julie right there, and I can click into her profile, start following her. And I can also search for topics or groups such as marketing, and that'll bring up again messages that contain the word marketing, members who have marketing listed somewhere in their profile, all the marketing groups. So it turns out we have a marketing group, a marketing winter training manual group, and an events team group, which has the word marketing in its description. So I might want to join one of those groups as well. Marketing topics that I'll want to be sure to follow, and then some events and polls here as well that contain the word marketing. So another note about groups, if you don't find groups by browsing the company feed or by searching for their particular name, if you want to just sort of see all the groups that exist in your company's network and see which ones you might want to join, you can do that by going to the groups directory. So in the left-hand navigation bar there, under the groups section, you can click groups directory. And this page will show you all of the groups that exist in your company's Yammer network. So I think they're ranked by sort of activity, so the number of messages and members. And you can join and leave groups right from this page. Private groups are denoted by a little lock symbol. So this corporate communications group, for instance, is a private group. You can tell because it has that little lock symbol. So if somebody were to click join on next to that group right there, it wouldn't actually just put that person in the group immediately. What it would do instead is shoot off a request to the group's administrator that says, Devin Watts has requested to join the Corp Comms group. and the group administrator can either, approve or deny that request. So if I'm not on the CorpCom team and that group is really just for their own team members to communicate and coordinate, then, they can reject my membership. So if you go through all these groups and you've done your searching and everything, and you still don't see all these groups, and you've done your searching and everything, and you still don't see, there's a group that you think should exist, but you don't see it, then go ahead and create that group. So anyone in your network can create a group. Just go up here to the top of this page and click Create New Group. And it's pretty basic. You want to give the group a name, a group description. Decide whether you want the group to be public or private. That's actually a very important decision because you can't go back and change a group from being public to private or private to public. It's sort of a complicated problem to solve, and at this point in time you can't do that. So just make sure if you want it to be a private group for a select group of people, or by invite only, then make it private. If you want it to be public and you want anyone to be able to see the content in there and you want anyone to be able to join, then go ahead and make it public. You can make a group super stealthy by making it private and unchecking that box list in the group directory. So unlike the CorpComs group, which I saw there listed in the directory and I was able to request to join that group, if you uncheck that box, say you want maybe to create an executive management group or something, and you just really, who's on the executive management team, you don't want anyone to be finding that group and asking to join it if they're not on the executive management team. So just uncheck that box, and no one will even really know it exists unless you actively invite them to join. Choose a group photo. So sometimes I give the example of a carpooling group. If you're someone who lives pretty far away from the office and you're struggling with your commute to work, you might create a group on your company's Yammer network about carpooling to see, if anyone else is struggling with the same things that you are and might want to carpool. So, the group photo for that might be a picture of a car or a picture of gridlock on the highway or something like that. You can invite individual members by email address here. So if also that Susie in accounting also lives out in the suburbs with you and is also struggling with her commute, you can invite her right here from the group creation page. Otherwise, you can just create the group, click save, and what that'll do is it will not only create the group and add it to the group directory so people can find it there, it'll also create a little message that goes out to your followers saying, Devin Watts created the carpooling group. So it's also discoverable by my followers that way. So now you're really pretty well set up to listen, at least. Your My Feed should be pretty populated. You're following people on topics. You're in some groups, maybe some that you've created. But Yammer is not just about listening. It's definitely a lot about sharing. So let's talk about posting an update. Posting an update is really easy. Obviously, just click into this box that says, what are you working on? I can say that I'm presenting a webinar on how to get started with Yammer. I could attach a file to this update, so I might want to attach the PowerPoint presentation that I showed you guys earlier in the session here. And I can also add topics to this update. So I'll add the topic webinar. I'll add the topic Yammer 101. I'll add the topic product education. And I can send this update out to all of my followers, or if I click on my followers, it's actually a drop down that shows me the different groups that I'm in. So I can post just into an individual group right from this page. You can also post to a group by going to the group page and using the publisher at the top of the group page. I'll send this out to all my followers, so I'll click update, and there we have it, very real time. My message there, which will be delivered to the My Feed of everybody who's following me as a individual member of the network, and anybody who's following any of those 3 topics that I added. So adding topics to your messages is really important. It makes them much more discoverable, and it drives them to be delivered to the people who are tuning into that particular topic. I can add another topic after posting. So if I decide I needed the getting started topic on here as well, I can either just hover over where the topics show up and click edit topics, or I can actually click more here and add topics. And let's add getting started. So there we go. Now people can reply to this, they can like it, they can say, you know, what was it that you presented? Can I see your slides? When is the next one? All that kind of stuff. It's really going to sort of start a conversation now about what I'm working on. If I want to share a link to a website, interesting article, something like that, I would just type that URL or copy and paste it into the publisher field here, so yammer.com. As soon as I put a space bar or click enter after I put in the URL, the system will recognize that is a website, and it'll pull up this nice preview of what's behind that link. And the great thing about this is I can actually edit these fields. So you'll notice when I hover over Yammer, the Enterprise Social Network right there, it highlights in yellow, and I can actually click into that and make some changes to that if I want. So maybe this description field is just too long. I'm going to just pull some of that out. And then I can actually go back up into the main text box, and I can delete that from there and say, hey, check out this website. And I can obviously attach a file to that update as well. I can add topics to that. Maybe I'll add the topic website. And I can send this update again to all of my followers or into a specific group. So I sent that update out, and then I suddenly realized it's pretty silly for me to share the website yammer.com with people on yammer.com. Obviously, if they're viewing it on Yammer, they've already heard of yammer.com, and they've already been there. They're there now, in fact. So that was pretty silly of me, and I'm kind of embarrassed, and I think I want to delete this message. So with the basic version of Yammer, anyone can delete their own messages. Obviously, I recommend, doing this sparingly and only when you've made a very egregious error or something. I certainly don't recommend deleting messages after they've been replied to. It creates a lot of confusion around the conversation. But if I click more here and I click delete, it'll ask me if I'm sure so that I don't do this accidentally. I can say okay, and then whoop, it's gone. So like I said, there is a lot more that you can do with Yammer, and we have a bunch more webinars that can show you more.